So what truly separates the living from the non-living? I mean, if you look around right now, you might say it's movement, right? Like a dog sprinting across the park or someone shouting. But then, what about a plant? It just sits there, perfectly still, yet it's undeniably alive. True life, it turns out, isn't just about what we can see on the surface. Actually, it's about this constant, invisible, molecular ballet that's happening deep inside your cells, literally every single second of the day.
Welcome to today's Explainer. We're embarking on a pretty epic documentary-style journey into CBSE Class 10 science today, focusing on one of the absolute most vital concepts you'll find in your NCRT textbook, life processes. We're going to strip away all the dense textbook complexity and just reveal the incredible microscopic machinery that literally keeps you alive. Okay, let's dive into our exam-ready roadmap for today. We'll start with what life processes actually are, move into autotrophic nutrition and photosynthesis, figure out how stomata work, explore types of heterotrophic nutrition, compare micro and macro consumers, and wrap it all up with a rapid revision and some crucial exam questions.
Let's kick things off with Section 1. What exactly are life processes?
Simply put, living in a dynamic, ever-changing environment causes constant wear and tear on our bodies. We are these incredibly highly organized structures, made of organ systems, organs, tissues, and cells. And because the outside world is constantly threatening to break this delicate structure down, our bodies have to act like a 24/7 repair crew. So these vital, non-stop maintenance jobs that prevent damage and allow us to survive and grow, that's exactly what we call life processes.
The crucial point here is that all living things rely on 4 interconnected pillars of survival. First up, nutrition, which is basically bringing carbon-based fuel into the body. Second is respiration, actually burning that fuel, usually using oxygen to generate usable energy. Third, transportation, the internal delivery system moving that fuel and oxygen to every single cell that needs it. And fourth, excretion, the absolutely vital cleanup crew that removes all the harmful metabolic waste. They all work together perfectly.
Moving right along to Section 2, autotrophic nutrition and photosynthesis.
Now, autotrophs, like those green plants sitting outside your window, are self-feeders. They take super simple inorganic substances from the environment to synthesize their own food. See, while humans have to constantly hunt down complex foods and break them apart using these biological chemical scissors called enzymes, autotrophs, well, they've completely hacked the system. They just rely on the sheer natural magic of photosynthesis.
But to run this biological factory and manufacture that precious carbon-based glucose, plants need 4 essential raw materials. They pull carbon dioxide right out of the air, they draw water up from the soil, they utilize the green pigment called chlorophyll that's hidden in their leaves, and finally, they capture the ultimate power source, sunlight. They literally grab raw solar energy and lock it into a tangible physical food structure. It's kind of amazing when you think about it. So let's see how this builds. This factory floor essentially operates in 3 distinct stages. Step 1, chlorophyll absorbs the light energy. Step 2, that light is converted into chemical energy which splits water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, and that oxygen is released as a byproduct which, thankfully, is what we breathe. Finally, Step 3, carbon dioxide is reduced to form carbohydrates or glucose. Now here's a massive pro tip for your board exams. These steps do not always happen immediately back to back. Take desert plants, for instance. They stockpile carbon dioxide at night so they don't lose precious water. They create an intermediate acid, and they only finish the whole process when the sun finally comes up.
Here is a totally fascinating and very frequently tested concept. When plants manufacture more glucose than they immediately need, they stash it away for a rainy day in the form of starch. But when heterotrophs, like you and me, have excess energy from a big meal, our bodies store it in a completely different format. We store it as glycogen. Make sure you remember that distinction.
All right, on to Section 3, how stomata work. If we zoom in super close, this brilliantly illustrates exactly how plants breathe. Right on the surface of leaves are these microscopic pores called stomata, and they're flanked by 2 kidney bean-shaped structures called guard cells. When water flows into these guard cells, they swell up, just like water balloons, bending and pulling the stoma pore wide open to let carbon dioxide in and oxygen out. But when water exits, they shrink right back down and the pore snaps tight. So the opening and closing is a purely physical, mechanical response driven entirely by water.
Which brings us to Section 4, types of heterotrophic nutrition. Obviously, if you can't make your own food like a plant, you've got to find it.
Let's walk through 3 different survival strategies here. First up is holozoic nutrition. This is us, and even amoebas. We ingest whole food and digest it completely inside our bodies. Next, we have saprotrophs. These are organisms like fungi and bread mold. Rather wildly, they actually digest their food outside their bodies by secreting chemicals directly onto dead matter, and then they just absorb the resulting nutrient soup. Finally, parasites. Think lice, tapeworms, or the cuscuta plants. They basically hack the system, deriving all their nutrients by living on or inside a host organism, usually without killing them outright. Ultimately, an organism's eating strategy really comes down to whether its food moves around or just sits still.
Section 5. Micro and macro consumers. Let's look at scale. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how a microscopic, single-celled amoeba follows the exact same logical steps for holozoic nutrition as you do. It senses food, wraps these finger-like extensions called pseudopodia around it, and creates a temporary little stomach known as a food vacuole. It digests the food, diffuses the good stuff right into its cytoplasm, and then literally just pushes the remaining waste out of its cell membrane. Now, scale that whole process up to our massive, highly specialized human alimentary canal, and you'll see it still boils down to 5 identical stages. 1. Ingestion, taking the food in. 2. Digestion, physically breaking it down with teeth and powerful enzymes. 3. Absorption, pulling those raw nutrients into your bloodstream. 4. Assimilation, which is where your cells actually use those nutrients to create ATP energy and build fresh tissue. And finally, 5. Egestion, removing whatever your body just couldn't break down. Okay, pay attention here because we need to deliberately untangle a trap that catches thousands of students every single year. Egestion and excretion are not the same thing. Egestion is the process of passing solid waste. That's the undigested, unabsorbed food left over in your digestive tract. Going to the bathroom in the morning? That's egestion. Excretion, on the other hand, is the removal of harmful metabolic byproducts, like nitrogenous waste in your urine or the carbon dioxide you exhale. Those are generated by the actual chemical reactions happening inside your cells. Keep that difference locked in your memory for the exam.
All right, you made it to the final stretch. Section 6, rapid revision and exam questions.
Let's test your active recall with a high-yield board question sourced straight from past exams. Think back to our discussion on the leaf's microscopic surface. The opening and closing of the stomatal pore depends upon what? Take a second, lock in your answer.
If you visualized those swelling water balloons, you totally nailed it. The correct answer is the movement of water in and out of the guard cells. Water moves in, they swell, and the pore opens. Water moves out, they shrink, and it closes. Perfect.
Ready for question 2? Which group of organisms breaks down food material completely outside their body before absorbing it? Think back to those unique heterotrophic strategies we covered. And the answer is the saprotrophs. Organisms like fungi, bread molds, yeast, and mushrooms. They secrete chemicals to digest decaying matter externally. Excellent job if you got that one right. We have journeyed all the way from single-celled amoebas to complex human digestion, right through the beautiful solar-powered machinery of plants. Knowing that there are literally billions of invisible molecular movements repairing your cells at this very moment, how are you going to fuel your body's life processes today? I highly encourage you to open up your NCERT textbook, keep these visual frameworks in mind, and take a moment to truly appreciate your own complex biology. Thanks for exploring this amazing material with me on today's Explainer. Keep learning and stay curious.